My Entrepreneur Careers VPT Study, number 1438, VPT 011, November 15, 2025. Gerald C Hsu, EclaireMD Foundation. Category, Entrepreneurship, a synthesized subject. Preface. My definition of an entrepreneur is someone who walks alone with strong will, persists through difficulty, and creates new paths instead of following old ones. Now, when I look back, I realize that about 90% of my entire professional life, over the past 5 decades, has actually been an entrepreneurial journey. Yes, I have been lonely at many stages, but I am deeply satisfied with achieving most of what I wanted in my life. Even my failures and struggles contributed to my own strength and growth, and also helped other people in this world. They shaped my character and guided the direction of my life. I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning, and could not fall back to sleep because a new research idea appeared in my mind. I decided to focus on the core part of my life journey, the entrepreneurial portion from 1981 through today. For the past 45 years, I have moved through technology, engineering, AI technology, CAD, GPU development, ADA, psychology, medical AI applications, and finally the core of biomedical research. Yet all of these fields and periods share one common nature: they were entrepreneurial pathways, surrounded by loneliness and a strong will to keep moving forward, no matter what challenges appeared along the way, new directions that did not exist in my mind until I walked through them. Interestingly, my past 9 years, from 2001 to 2009, of psychotherapy charitable work, my medical AI tool development, and my most recent 16 years, from 2010 to 2025, of medical research were never aimed at making money, yet in spirit, they were truly entrepreneurial efforts. They were lonely, independent, difficult, and they required new methodology and new thinking. They helped me while helping others, and financially, they flowed outward rather than inward. These efforts also gave me the most meaningful return of all: a stronger mental state, a healthier life, a clear mind, and a renewed sense of purpose. These 2 most recent periods were accomplishments in spirit, rather than in financial terms. This motivated me to conduct a complete viscoplastopology (VPT) study on my entire entrepreneurial career of 45 years from 1981 through 2025, using the same research method that I applied to my medical research, psychology and personality disorders, social science of life journeys, economics, and even zoology. This article is the beginning and summary up to this moment of that exploration. Introduction. To analyze my 45-year entrepreneurial journey in a scientific, structured and quantitative way, I apply the VPT framework that integrates the energy modeling of viscoplastic medicine theory, VMT, from physics and engineering, and the geometric modeling of topological data analysis, TDA, from abstract mathematics. This allows me to treat career development or entrepreneurial experience as a dynamic, nonlinear, time-dependent and irreversible system, shaped by multiple stressors across time. By the way, topology is traditionally a branch of abstract mathematics. However, when used in data science and pattern recognition, TDA applies only the geometric and structural ideas of topology, not the deep abstract theory. My data preparation. My dataset contains 1 output, strain, and 4 carefully selected and defined input stressors. First, the strain, score from 1 to 100, is defined as success, which reflects my self-assessed satisfaction score. This strain represents the overall outcome of each entrepreneurial stage. It reflects the overall judgments and feelings, including technology quality, product impact, people involved, market traction, strategic outcome, personal fulfillment, and contribution to society and the welfare of others. Second, the 4 carefully selected stressors, score from 0 to 1, are: 1. Time, including years spent and personal dedication period. 2. Fund, including investment funding and personal salary loss. 3. Product, including people quality and capability, technological innovation, execution capability, and market acceptance and potential. 4. Return, annual and accumulated revenue and profit, as well as long-term non-financial satisfaction values. These 4 stressors influence the output strain of success, in different ways at different stages. Each entrepreneurial period has its own structure of stressors, forming unique energy patterns. Longitudinal entrepreneurial periods, 45 years total. E1 portable PC, 2 years. E2 language AI, 0.5 year. E3 mechanical CAD, 3 years. E4 architecture CAD, 0.5 year. E5 GPU software, 3 years. E6 IC design ADA, 3 years. E7 IC physical ADA, 8 years. E8 psychology and medical AI, 9 years. E9 medical research, 16 years. 4 normalization factors. The overall timeline is 45 years, from 1981, age 34, to 2025, age 79. Therefore, 45 is selected as the normalization factor for the time stress. Fund is normalized by 5 because $5 million was the single largest amount involved. Across these 9 entrepreneurial periods, it occurred during my psychotherapy charitable programs, where my personal expenses far exceeded any investment funding I had ever received. In fact, the total funding I received over the decades was much smaller than the money I spent on charitable programs. The normalization factors for both product and return are 1. Because my input values for these 2 categories were already pre-normalized. Purpose of this study: 1. To calculate the VMT energy contribution percentage of each input stressor. 2. To compute each entrepreneurial project's individual VMT energy percent. 3. To build the longitudinal energy profile covering all 45 years. 4. To examine the TDA geometric results and see whether the geometric shapes match the VMT energy patterns. Significance of this study: this new subject fits naturally into my entire VPT framework. It aligns with my lifelong work across mathematics, physics, engineering, computer science, artificial intelligence, psychology, economics, medical research, social science of life journeys, biology, and zoology. Now I am adding entrepreneurship, although I am still not sure which category it truly belongs to, because my research method of this paper is far beyond present business school curriculums. At this moment, I simply call its category a synthesized subject. Nevertheless, I find this direction powerful and deeply meaningful for the following reasons. 1. It allows me to unify my entire 45-year career into one scientific model, showing a complete pattern instead of disconnected experiences. 2. It treats my entrepreneurial journey as a dynamic, nonlinear, irreversible system, just like chronic diseases, human behavior, or biological evolution. 3. It expands VPT beyond biology, zoology, social science, and economics into a new area: human innovation, career, evolution, and non-financial values and contributions. 4. It helps me uncover the hidden mechanisms that carried me from early experimental projects to major breakthroughs, and later into medical innovation and research. 5. It gives me a clean quantitative structure to evaluate 9 entrepreneurial career stages, across 4.5 decades, each with different stressor structures, energy signatures, and geometric variations. 6. It connects my stroke-related neuroplasticity insights, regeneration and self-treasure of both brain neurons and pathways, with my past engineering and high-tech products career, and my later psychotherapy charitable and self-study and research on biomedical research, forming a unified interpretation of who I am and how I evolved. 7. It creates a new category in my research portfolio: entrepreneur science using VPT. This may open a new direction for understanding entrepreneurship as a measurable life process. 8. As far as I know, no one has ever analyzed an entrepreneurial career using viscoplastopology modeling. This would be the first study of its kind. VMT analysis results. The viscoplastic energy analysis reveals 2 major findings from my entrepreneurial life journey. First, the 4 VMT energy contribution ratios are: product is 36%, return is 35%, fund is 19%, time is 10%. These 4 percentages carry clear interpretations. Product quality and market acceptance created by highly skilled employees are the most critical factors for success, especially in technology, engineering, and innovation-driven industries. A great product naturally generates high revenue and strong return. In the same way, caring work in charitable programs and medical research generates the highest form of inner satisfaction, far beyond financial gains. Funding is more important than the length of time an entrepreneur hangs on. In a company, funding functions like blood in the human body. It carries oxygen and nutrients to the brain, heart, and organs. Without it, even the best product and the hardest effort cannot survive. Time is necessary but not sufficient. Working smart is more important than simply working hard. However, persistence, discipline, and hard work remain the fundamental requirements for any entrepreneur. Second, from the strain of success diagram and the 2 VMT energy diagrams, my startup Avon in IC design clearly stands out as the historical peak of both strain and VMT energy. It represents my strongest financial and organizational achievement. My psychotherapy charitable program shows a dip because it overlapped with my worst health period, including several heart attacks and the early threat of kidney failure. However, my self-launched medical research has not only saved my own life, but has also lifted my internal satisfaction to a new level. As time moves forward, I am confident that the cumulative VMT energy from my medical research will eventually surpass even the success level of Avon. TDA analysis results. In the TDA part of this study, I treat each entrepreneur as one point in a 4-dimensional stress space: time, fund, product, return, with success as an additional strain dimension. By connecting these data points in chronological order from E0 to E9, I obtain a geometric trajectory instead of isolated events. The 2D and 3D scatter plots, together with radar charts for each period, reveal several clear topological patterns. First, there is an initial low-energy cluster near the origin. Periods E1 through E4, portable PC, language AI, mechanical CAD, and architecture, CAD, all sit close to the 0 point in both stress and strain. All of these 4 earlier startup ventures eventually failed due to insufficient funding, lack of enough skilled developers, or because the ideas were ahead of their time. In terms of market acceptance or supporting system capabilities, their success scores remain between 1 and 15, and all 4 stressors stay below 0.3. In geometric terms, these early ventures form a tight, shallow cloud. Topologically, this region represents an experimental phase, many ideas, low investment, small teams, and limited market impact. It is a thin, flat shape with no strong direction yet. Second, beginning at E5, workstation and GPU, E6, semiconductor IC, and continuing through E7, Avant. In semiconductor IC sector, the trajectory bends sharply away from the origin, and forms a clear ascending arc in the product and return dimensions. These 3 ventures belong to mature industries that already had strong market acceptance, capable developers, strong sales force, and solid financial flow. E5 GPU and E6 ADA already reach product levels of 0.50 and 0.60 and return levels of 0.50 and 0.60, with success rising to 20 and 30. E7 Avant then jumps further to product 0.75, return 0.70, fund 0.66, and success 75. Avant went through an IPO on Nasdaq, which brought significant financial rewards to my team members and to myself. In the 3D scatter plots, success versus product at 36% and return at 35%. The 2 highest VMT energy contributors, these 3 periods, line up to form a steep ramp that rises from the low region of the space into a high-performance zone. This arc is the first major topological branch, a high-tech, high-yield pathway dominated by strong products, solid teams, and rapidly increasing financial outcomes. Distance analysis in this 4D stress space shows that the transitions from E4 to E5 and from E6 to E7 are among the largest geometric jumps. The move from small architecture CAD, E4, to GPU software, E5, marks the escape from the low-energy cluster. The later jump from E6 ADA to E7, Avant, marks the true takeoff point in both stress and strain. These 2 turning points create visible kinks along the entrepreneurial curve and correspond to real-life phase transitions in my career, from small, fragile startup projects to the real high-tech world, and ultimately to becoming a global supplier of semiconductor IC ADA platforms. Third, the trajectory then changes direction again. When it enters the psychotherapy charitable program, E8 Psych reaches the maximum fund value of 1.00, but has only moderate product, 0.50, and return, 0.55, with success 50. Geometrically, the E8 psychotherapy program moves strongly along the fund axis, but does not advance much in the product or return directions. Its product and service were centered on caring for human beings in need, and there were no financial rewards beyond daily expenses. In the radar chart, fund dominates the polygon, while product and return stay at mid-range levels. This creates a sideways branch that bends away from the purely commercial Avant pathway. Topologically, E8 is a different type of attractor, a high-cost, high-giving, emotionally charged phase that sacrifices financial efficiency for psychological support and social value. Fourth, the final period E9 medical research and health knowledge sharing, forms another strong bend in the trajectory. Compared with E8, the fund level drops from 1.00 to 0.64, reflecting only my personal income loss, but product and return both rise sharply to 0.95, and time increases to 0.36. 16 years, the highest of all periods. Success reaches its global maximum of 95, which is the period I am most proud of and most satisfied with so far. In the 3D scatter plots, the transition from E8 to E9 is the single largest step in geometric distance, moving clearly from a dip to a rise. The direction of motion turns away from fund and shifts strongly toward the product, return, and time axis. On the radar chart, the polygon becomes more balanced. All 4 stressors are high, but none is excessively dominant. This produces a new topological branch which I call the mission-driven medical research pathway, lower external funding, but very high intellectual product quality, long-time dedication, and strong inner return and satisfaction. Overall, the 9 points do not form random scatter. They create a clear one-dimensional backbone, in stress space with 2 major bends and 3 recognizable regions. 1. An exploratory cluster, from E1 to E4. near the origin with low strain and low stress. This was my learning periods of entrepreneurship. 2. A high-tech financial success arc, from E5 to E7, driven by product and return supported by moderate time and fund. This was my return periods of fame, power and wealth. 3. A mission-driven branch, E8 and E9, that first swings toward high fund, charitable, giveaway, for psychotherapy and then rotates into a balanced, high product, and high return medical research state. The E9 period of medical research and health knowledge sharing is my highest self-satisfaction period. In addition, success is highly correlated with the 4 stressors, especially time, product, and return. As the trajectory moves outward from the origin, success rises almost monotonically, with only a temporary dip at E8, when my personal health problems and charitable spending temporarily reduce my perceived success. The topological structure therefore matches the VMT results. Product and return dominate the overall shape, fund provides necessary support, but can overextend in the charitable period, and time gradually increases and stabilizes the entire curve. In summary, TDA confirms that my 45-year entrepreneurial career is not a set of disconnected episodes. It is a continuous geometric path that starts from small experiments, rises through high-tech commercial success, temporarily detours into heavy charitable spending with health decline, and finally settles into a high, stable, mission-oriented medical research state. The shape of this path in stress space is completely consistent with the VMT energy distribution and with my subjective life experience. Conclusion: this research subject fits my VPT life framework naturally. I can apply the same research methodology that I developed for medicine, social science, economics, biology, and zoology, and now extend it to my 45-year entrepreneurial journey. This study is not just another project, it is a mirror that lets me see my entire life from age 34 to 79, as one continuous entrepreneurial path. The fields changed, the challenges changed, the people changed, and the outputs changed, but the inner engine, driving everything, my strong entrepreneurship, remained the same. Over these 45 years, I was an entrepreneur in portable PC, AI algorithms, CAD, GPU, semiconductor IC chip ADA, psychological care, and finally medical research and health knowledge sharing. The last 2 stages did not bring financial return, but they gave me something far more valuable: survival, health, clarity, purpose, and a deep sense of self-satisfaction. I did not waste my life. This VPT study is powerful because it connects all the fragments of my life into one unified system. It reveals my internal patterns in the same way. My more than 1,400 medical papers reveal the hidden mechanisms of chronic diseases, and it confirms something important: I was never truly alone. Knowledge, passion, and mission were always with me. I was following one internal principle across 45 years, guided by accumulated wisdom, original compassion for human beings, and a persistent determination that never left me. This paper also shows something important: my VPT method is not only for medicine, psychology, economics, biology, or social science. It is a universal framework that can reveal the hidden structure of any long, dynamic, non-linear, and irreversible human journey. Disclaimer: I write this paper not for fame, but to share what I have learned so others can understand their health, prevent disease, and live longer, healthier lives. This content is for educational reference only, and is not medical or financial advice. No doctor-patient or advisor-client relationship is created. You may share this material freely, but it must not be altered or republished as your own. All rights belong to the author, Gerald C. Hsu.